Following the same take, your take on how best can organizations report on disclosing these impacts on the financial statement for stakeholders?
So there are multiple impacts on the financial statements because that's one area that we are dealing with today. Uh, Obviously, the inventory that you currently have uh, is the question comes, okay, what is the lower of cost on market, right? Because the question is that whether uh, what you have, when can you sell it, and if you can sell it, at what price? Because there might be discounts which might be now being asked by companies. Revenue recognition is becoming an important aspect. You might have sold goods to to your customer, but if there is unpredictability with respect to realizability and collection, then again your provision for doubtful debts, correct, comes into question. The ECL model, which was based on historical experience. Now, can you use that same historical experience rate in the new situation? Probably not. So, how are you modeling it? That's going to be pretty important. Uh, Impairment when it comes to goodwill or whether it comes to long-lived assets. So, whether undiscounted cash flows or discounted cash flows. The question does arise as to, okay, what was the business plan that you approved before COVID-19, and what is it that you will now basically present to your investors, to your auditors, because there is a difference. There is no question about it. You just can't say that it is business as usual. It could be, again, I'm not saying that everything will be negative. It could be even a positive impact. There are certain companies which have a positive impact, but you need to present it, and then you need to relook at your cash flows, come back to your impairment analysis. In totality, the going concern assumption itself, right? Which companies will be able to come out of and still continue as going concern? So, given the liquidity crisis, given the credit crisis, which of the companies will be able to actually continue in the future for the next 1 year is going to be an important question to ask. So, all of these are critical measurements, disclosures in the financial statement. And then, a very simple thing, are you going to be able to even close your financial statement? How reliable are the numbers that you're going to present? Okay, we presume that everybody is on SAP, but not everybody is on SAP. Everybody is not remotely, accessing their SAP or BAN or, any other ERP. There are companies which were dependent on physically entering data, still were providing, preparing their invoices or their delivery challans, actually kind of writing them down and so on, and not through the computer. Maybe some of them had to go to a desktop and actually do it out there. So in that situation, how reliable are the financial statements? When will you even come out with your financial statement? So quite a lot of questions, no doubt about it. I think the financial statements are going to be highly impacted because of COVID-19. And you might see that not only in the management discussion and analysis, you will see it also in the notes. You could also see it in the auditor's report. So multifaceted, you can say, impact coming out from this particular situation that we are in.
Given the fiscal situation for the government is very tight, would they be able to find enough resources for finance the welfare package? What are likely sources of financing government and companies can resort to?
I think from a company perspective, logically, cutting out on whatever is discretionary expenditure is obviously the first step, right? That's a logical step. Many companies would actually look at their capital expenditure budgets and take a relook as to whether they are going to actually incur those capex expenses in the near term. They might push it more towards the long term. Apart from that, definitely trying to actually get cash from your receivable by maybe providing discounts so that the money is in your bank might become a new trend. So, you will see multifaceted, you can call it approaches, which companies will. There are companies which are actually putting out the payment plans for their payables now. So while their original terms would have been, okay, we pay in 30 days or we pay in 60 days, now they're saying that we will pay over 90 days or 120 days, or we'll pay 1/6 of your amount over the next 180 days. So depending on the severity of the cash situation, there is an impact which is going to happen, and companies will be, taking steps accordingly. At the government level, there is no question about it that the government will have to create a fund. Now, whether that fund is by issuing tax-free bonds, whether that fund is by basically providing new benefits to bring in FDII, because money may not just come from local resources in India. That may not be enough, or that may not be adequate. So where is the money? The money is probably outside of India. And let's say we want to use this as an opportunity and create India or make India as a bigger manufacturing hub. If there is an option there, because companies which previously have been depending on one location might say, okay, now we want to do risk mitigation. We want to have 3 manufacturing hubs, one in my own country and say 2 in two other countries. So in which case, if there are specific SOPs which are given for bringing in FDII, that will definitely bring in money for the government. Already the government had played its card to a certain extent in India, specifically because it had already brought down some of the tax rate. So they tried to make it interesting. But remember, if you think of the way in which transaction processing, the IT services, captive units in India. Now, a lot of that was driven not just by the fact that India had a lot of a talent pool, a bigger talent pool, but it was also because those companies had a tax holiday for a long time when they were setting up those captive units. So we had those benefits which were coming in, and while there are certain benefits which are there with SEZs today, but as as a benefit to certain industries, there might be a need for the government to rethink the travel, and the entertainment industry will be one area where the government would need to provide some very specific industry specific benefits. Unless you do that, how do you get them back on on track? How do you get people to again start traveling back to India? Unless there are these specific benefits. It might be that for the GST with respect to hotel rooms, you might have to reduce it. You might have to reduce the GST when it comes to your restaurant bills. Make it cheaper for people to even come to India. So a lot of these things are going to be required. Where the government is going to get the money from? Well, to some extent, some of the fiscal prudence that it has been kind of maintaining, it might have to let go of it. These are exceptional situations, and you just can't think from a number that, okay, I want to keep my fiscal deficit at this particular percentage only of the GDP. It may not be possible anymore. These are exceptional circumstances, and you have to take a lot more proactive results, to actually drive the economy back. Otherwise, you will anyway reach that situation because your GDP is going to drop. So you have to do something to kind of, protect the GDP. So I would say multi-pronged approach is what you'll need to see.
So till now, India hasn't resorted to quantitative easing or monetization of deficits. Do you think that is one of the areas that RBI should explore, or maybe go for monetization of deficits that India is
It
having
might,
right
it,
now?
I think it might need to. I think given the enormity, and India was already facing a problem. I think even our banking sector, the kind of NPAs that we had in our banks and so on and so forth. I think that might be a bitter pill that we might need to actually kind of, bite in a certain sense.
So one thing I mean, since Ujjwal mentioned and you also mentioned, so US had a big bull run from 2009 to 19. For India, in essence, it has been, I feel, as a lost decade now. India didn't perform as well. So 2016 demonetization came, then came GST, then you had the credit crisis that was there. India in the last 5 years has been in a deleveraging mode as such. There has been not enough credit offtake that's happening. It's not performed. Even if I look at the indices, they have basically not performed. So and I don't know how things will come out, but I think monetization, as you mentioned, might be one of the ways to get it back roaring. India has, I mean, suffered. The entire decade has been washed out.
You're right, Akash, and I think some very basic reforms which are necessary, whether it is with respect to land acquisition, whether it is with respect to labor, whether it is with respect to uh, basically the credit that a company till India makes the ease of doing business in India a priority, a real priority, and going beyond uh, the letter but to the spirit. We are competing, right? India is competing with, and is going to compete now with more and more countries. You have got Vietnam coming up as a challenge. Bangladesh has definitely become a challenge when it comes to the textile sector,
True.
right? The Asian tigers they are not far behind. Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, they are all equally interested. After some period of time, even Africa will start coming up. You've got South America, which is also there, and as a opportunity for our companies. So India has to. I think one of the areas that we have not really done a lot is with respect to real reform and true reform. Groundbreaking reform which actually makes business easy.
True. True.
So I feel making business easy would be one of the major routes for India to get out of this economy depression, firstly. And secondly, huge changes by RBI policies can also be a boost for us.
Absolutely. I think the political will is required, and this is a good opportunity. Sometimes crisis provide you with an opportunity to push through with difficult decisions. This could be the best opportunity.
True.
Because I'm very sure India equally has the manpower to beat China when it comes to at least manufacturing of most of the industrial products. So one of the questions we have is, what are the lessons for us to learn from this?
I guess a lot to learn, right? I guess the biggest lesson is cash is king. So so running a profitable company is very important. I guess actually looking at your business sustainability plans, looking at uh, what can be the different kinds of disruptions that can occur, whether in our daily life or as a company or as an economy, and actually having being ready for such situations in the future is, I think, a big lesson to kind of learn. But I think we are still learning. We'll continue to learn. But I think it has definitely been a lot of learning over these last few weeks and months now.
True. So one more question, since you said cash is king, there were certain businesses like the Ubers, the Olas, the WeWorks, who, let's say, burnt their way up to wherever they have reached. Do you think more such businesses would come, or now businesses would be thinking more so valuing those aspects only where companies generate good cash flows? I mean, that is the business to be looked at.
Again, I don't think that companies will be, while the markets have reacted quite a lot, and yes, there will be a short-term dip in some of the valuations. There is no question about it, because sentiment does drive valuations to a large extent. But at the same time, Akash, I do believe that valuation is also always about the future. So while it is not necessary that all startups need to have a cash flow positive situation from day one, if the financial modeling does provide, we always value everything on a going concern basis, right? And so I don't think that, but yeah, there would be a short-term correction, no doubt about it. But beyond that, I think things should get back to being business as usual, at least on these new companies, sooner than later.
Okay.
So these were the few questions we had in mind.
Okay.
So,
Okay, Ujjwal. Yeah,
Thanks.
pleasure. Thanks
Sir, for joining us and sharing your insights, sir.
Thank you, Ujjwal. Thanks, Akash. Take
thank you
care.
so much for a moment.
Okay.
Pleasure. Take care.
Okay.
Stay safe.
Bye. Yep. You too.